A group of American doctors is encouraging a less invasive way to mutilate female genitalia. Now, I wish I was joking, but I'm not. The doctors have written a paper called Female Genital Alteration, a Compromise Solution, and it was published in the Journal of Medical Ethics. The World Health Organization defines female genital mutilation, or FGM, as any procedure that alters or injures the female genitalia for non-medical reasons. The practice is recognized as a human rights violation internationally, and it's illegal in Canada, and for good reason. The procedure is often described as female circumcision. It involves often removing part or all of the clitoris and often the labia. It's practiced in over 30 countries worldwide. Over 200 million women worldwide are affected. The cultures and tribes that practice FGM are concentrated in 27 African countries, as well as Indonesia, Yemen, Iraq, and other places in Asia and the Middle East. FGM is done for a few reasons. It can be grounded in Islamic practice or regional tribal culture. It's done to make women appear more virginal, and more often because female sexuality and desire is seen to be something for men to control. Here.
يعني انتوا شايفين ان الستات كلها لازم تتطهر عشان شرفها يعني.
الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام قال لي كان الأول بيسافروا وبيطلعوا في سبيل الله بالسنة. الوقت بيطلعوا بالسنة وقال لك لازم البنت تتختن عشان تقدر تصبر تستنى الراجل لما يرجع.
Now, it's a sickeningly barbaric practice. It's usually committed on little girls when they are just babies or small children by a woman in their community who mutilates children as her career. It's done in dirty places with dirty tools, often an old razor blade. There is no antiseptic and no anesthetic. There are often infections and death and lifelong problems for the victims of FGM. It's a gruesome, barbaric act that has no place in any free society. In fact, one Nigerian woman recently sought refugee status in Manitoba because she was pregnant with triplets. All 3 babies were girls, and she was facing a forced abortion of her babies at 29 weeks if she refused to submit her daughters to FGM shortly after their birth. Now back to that group of doctors I mentioned earlier. They have proposed a way to pacify those barbarians that will butcher and mutilate their own daughters for tradition, culture, and control. These doctors want these people to adopt a less invasive, less violent way to mutilate their little girls against their will. They're proposing a new surgery to satiate barbarian bloodlust, just a snip here and a cut there, into a perfectly healthy girl child for no medical reason whatsoever. This is a passive admission that FGM is not being left in the old country by recent immigrants. In fact, in the UK, FGM is banned, but little girls are taken to someone in their community to cut them, or they are sent abroad on summer holidays to have FGM done to them. The motivations of this doctors group are grounded in gross moral relativism. This is taken directly from the synopsis of the medical paper. Many Muslim scholars classify FGA as sunnah, or practice established by the Prophet Muhammad. Though not prescribed explicitly in the Quran, the practice thus is religiously virtuous. In fact, the colloquial term for FGA procedures in Arabic refers to a ritual state of purity. And the report also says, marriage is associated strongly with quality of life in these traditions. In some cultural milieus, a woman who has not undergone a procedure to alter her external genitalia may find it difficult to marry. Additionally, there may be an aesthetic component to labiaplasty as practiced in some societies. Contrary to the picture painted by many international organizations, then, it could be stated that children undergo FGA procedures because their parents love them and want them to be happy in their adult lives. By labeling FGA as female genital mutilation, our discussions run the risk of demonizing important cultural practices. So the doctors are saying it's intolerant to oppose FGM. They're saying it's racist to oppose FGM. Us Western imperialist pigs should not judge people mutilating their little girls as barbaric because this is an important cultural practice. Taking Yazidi sex slaves is an important cultural practice if you ask someone who sympathizes with ISIS. Should we not demonize that? Now, what about child marriage? Do we not demonize that? Some cultures consider that an important cultural practice. In a study in Somalia, the country with the world's highest prevalence of FGM, 85% of women had an intention to subject their daughters to an extensive FGM procedure, and 90% supported the continuation of the practice. So there you have it. Cultures that practice FGM have no intention of changing what they do or how they do it. They don't want to change. They don't care if it's cleaner, safer, or less invasive. All we can do in the West is make sure we don't tolerate this barbarism in any form here. And it's a betrayal of the women like the pregnant mother of triplets who fled to Canada. She came to Canada because we don't make excuses for such atrocities. People shouldn't write manuals about the best way to beat their wives any more than a doctor should write guidelines about the best way to cut up your daughters. A moral society shouldn't give advice on the best way to do the wrong thing. Tolerating evil to prove how tolerant we are is just a race to the bottom. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid.